Today, we're digging into a really powerful conversation about the future of education. And we're not just talking about tweaking the system here. We're asking a much bigger question: what is the fundamental purpose of our universities, and are they really set up to deliver on it?
Okay, so let's just jump right in with the central question from Dr. Mumbi Wachira. Are academics and the institutions they work for actually active players in solving society's biggest problems? Or have they kind of become passive observers, just watching from inside their own walls? This one question, it really sets the stage for everything we're about to unpack. So how do we even begin to tackle this? Well, Dr. Wachira gives us a framework she calls an inside-out, outside-in perspective. It's basically a two-step approach. First, universities have to take a long, hard look in the mirror. And second, they've got to completely rethink how they connect with the world around them. So let's start with that first piece, the whole outside-in idea. This is all about breaking free from that classic ivory tower, stepping out of the academic bubble and getting into the public arena where the real conversations are actually happening.
The big idea here is that expertise can't just be locked away in academic journals that nobody reads. To make a real difference, academics need to get into what's being called the new public square. And get this, we're talking about platforms like TikTok and Instagram. It's a call to use the tools of today to shape public opinion, to publish policy ideas where they'll actually be seen, and to use media to push forward on huge issues like inclusivity.
But here's the thing. You can't really go out and change the world if your own house isn't in order, right? And this brings us to that inside-out part of the transformation. It's all about this deep, honest, institutional self-reflection. And Dr. Wachira's quote here just nails it. It's about making sure your actions actually match your values. She gives this perfect example. They did a simple disability audit on campus, and it showed this huge gap between the university's talk about inclusivity and the reality of its own buildings. There just weren't enough ramps or accessible facilities. That kind of honest look in the mirror has to be the starting point.
And that self-reflection, it goes even deeper, right to the very core of what education is supposed to be about. Dr. Shamim Bodhanya drops this bombshell of a claim. He says that our current system often schools students out of critical thinking. It teaches them to just accept what they're told instead of challenging it.
So what's the alternative? Well, it's about rebuilding the whole foundation of learning. Instead of teaching all these separate, siloed subjects, the idea is to weave systems thinking and a sense of interconnection, or holism, into every single thing that's taught. The goal isn't just to give someone skills for a job, it's to create active, critical citizens. Let's quickly break these down. Systems thinking isn't some new subject you have to take. It's more like a new pair of glasses for seeing how everything is connected, how different parts of a system influence each other. And holism is kind of the philosophy behind that, this core idea that you can't really understand the parts if you don't see how they fit into the whole. These would become the new fundamentals, as basic as reading or writing.
And this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? According to Dr. Bodhanya, the ultimate point of education isn't just to churn out workers for an economy. It's to help develop whole, integrated human beings who can think for themselves and make a real contribution to society.
Okay, and this is where it all comes together, where the inside out meets the outside in. Because you don't create a good citizen in a lab. They have to be deeply connected to the world they're a part of. So once a university has done that internal work, how does it actually connect back to the world in a meaningful way?
The thinking here is that education shouldn't be these separate, chopped-up stages. It should be one continuous flow. This means universities have to start talking to and partnering with teachers all the way down the line, high schools, primary schools, even nurseries. The goal is to start planting those seeds, those core values like ethical leadership, right from the very beginning.
This new kind of partnership also extends to industry and government, but in a way that goes so much deeper than just asking for advice. It's about true co-creation. You have industry experts actually co-teaching in the classroom. Research is something you develop with partners, not just something you extract from them. And, so importantly, universities and their partners work together to push for the regulatory changes needed to make curriculum updates happen fast.
So why does any of this really matter? Well, because let's be real, the world of work is changing faster than ever, and our education systems are just not keeping up. This whole new model is about getting students ready for the jobs that actually exist and the ones that are just around the corner.
And the opportunity here is just massive. According to one report, we're talking about a potential for 1.5 to 3 million new direct green jobs in Africa by 2030 alone. That is a huge youth dividend just waiting to happen. but only if we have a workforce with the right skills.
Now, here's the really interesting part. Look at these skills. Things like carbon project development or ESG data analysis, these aren't things you learn in just one class. They require a blend of science, finance, policy, and ethics. And this is exactly why that old siloed way of teaching just doesn't work anymore. It can't produce graduates who have that cross-disciplinary, creative way of thinking that these new jobs demand.
But there's a big problem, right? Traditional university degrees can take years to update, and in a world that's moving this fast, we desperately need quicker, more flexible ways to get people the skills they need.
And that's where something like micro-credentials comes into play. It's actually a really clever solution. Think of them as short, super-focused courses on one specific skill, like climate risk analysis. A student could take this right alongside their main degree, letting them pick up these cutting-edge skills in just a few months, not years. It's a way to get around the problem of slow-moving universities.
So this all leaves us with one big final question to think about. In a world that's changing so quickly, how do we transform our institutions? How do we get them to stop being just gatekeepers of knowledge and become these dynamic platforms for continuous, lifelong learning? That's really the challenge ahead of us.